Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the Bonny Rackham, and we are here now for Season 2, Episode 9, the penultimate episode of the season. So, I'm going to start doing this a little bit different. So yeah, the way I've been doing it, I've been kind of obviously going through it chronologically, like scene by scene. And what often happens is I'm like, right, back to that in a bit. You know, I kind of want to get into I don't know what Silver's doing in this episode, but then the scene's only short, so I'm like, right, we got an Eleanor scene next, so I'm gonna kind of do it, I'm gonna group them together now. I'm not kind of gonna go through it all chronologically, and then I can just really go into the character and kind of just get into that. It does mean maybe that way things are going to get missed out, and I'm just going to assume you kind of know the plot and the layout. I'm going to try and focus less on that, Mr. Scott did A and B to, I'm going to cut that out so much. I'd rather just focus on what the characters are kind of doing, their motivations and my thoughts and feelings, obviously what I originally started this for. It's taking so much time, it takes like 3 hours to go through the episode because I'm pausing and make sure, and it's like, no, just focus less on that and home in on your thoughts on what the characters are doing, and we'll still cover the basis of the episode, because obviously the views just unfortunately don't warrant the kind of 3-day time it takes to do everything. So yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a quick summary at the beginning, and I can focus my time on the stuff I really want to talk about, and then I'll do the rating at the beginning as well, so we can get that done at the beginning. And then so then I'll go into the character breakdowns, and like I say, do it that way, and then that way when we're going through it character by character all in a chunk, I can give them their MVP nomination, and then that can be a bigger build up and a bit more fun as well, and then do my MVP at the end, because what I aim to do with doing it that way, I can put a little banner on the screen saying this is my favourite scene, and then I don't need to kind of go over it all again at the end. I just like to change things up. Things get a bit stale, and obviously with this not being the biggest thing in the world, and not getting many views, it's got to be kind of fun and fresh for me at the end of the day. Okay, without further ado, let's get started on this new run through.
Get us underway.
Okay, so for a title, so for this one, I've called it Tick-Tock, not the app. Just Tick-Tock as in the clock. Yeah, this is what I was going to call last episode. I was going to call it Tick-Tock, but I'm glad I didn't. It works much better for this one. We're going against the clock. It's a matter of time. And of course, all the building up that goes on in this episode with our various things going on. Building up to Vane's change of heart, and Miranda's brave confrontation, that sadly leads to her end. As well, of course, as the literal tick-tock of the Hamilton's clock, which changes the course of everything. So yes, so now we are going to go straight into the brief summary of the episode.
First item.
Okay, so written by, so this is another one where it's a bit weird, where it's teleplay by Brad Caleb Kane and story by Dan Schultz, which kind of poops on my point I made last episode. And it is directed by Lucas Etlin, which I haven't checked. Is that a new name? Yeah, Lucas Etlin is a new name. Another new name at this stage. Okay. So yeah, as always with Black Sails, final 2 episodes of a season are just phenomenal TV. So Nassau is in mourning for Richard Guthrie's death. I'm not. They're lining the streets to give their condolences to a distant Eleanor. In Charlestown, the warship is boarded by Vane and his crew. Drink 'em if you got 'em for Randall and Joshua. Billy is brave and loyal when told Vane wants him on side, telling him Flint's plan is the only plan, and Silver is scheming and sneaking below deck to cause delay for Vane's crew being able to sail. Flint and Miranda have their audience with Peter Ash and his trigger-happy Colonel Rhett. Flint makes his plea, has some reflection time with Miranda, who has been distracted since entering the house. The clock ticks, and these great build-ups throughout the episode are rewarded. Eleanor meets with Underhill, informs him of her plan. Her hitmen get to work. However, they have not counted on a certain someone's unexpected return. Just as a reluctant partnership is struck with Underhill, Hornigold and Dufresne return. They exchange Eleanor for their pardons, and it seems Nassau is now without a ruler. Back in Charlestown, Miranda can stay silent no more. She's worked out Peter Ash betrayed them all those years ago. She's enraged. She wants justice. But as she's reaching the end of her passionate speech, the coward colonel shoots her in the head in cold blood. Flint tries to go on the attack, but he is outnumbered. Just as Vane is getting the better of Silver and his man below deck, the announcement of Flynn's capture and trial is delivered to them. Silver can't help but smile as Vane suggests to the whole crew that they get Flint the hell out of there. A phenomenal episode with so much great stuff to sink my teeth into. Rating wise, I think it's the strongest yet at a 9.8. We're not quite at 10 territory. But yeah, let's get into the character chat and some great scenes that I want to delve into just a little bit more.
Next item!
Okay, so let's start on Nassau. And on Nassau, we have Eleanor, Max, Anne, and Jack, sort of to kind of go through. So let's go Eleanor. So yeah, Eleanor, she is cold and she is to the point. Obviously, her father's just died. She is feeling some kind of way. She refers to what's gone down as a war between her and Charles when Max visits her. Yeah, she's very businesslike, hard to read exactly what she's feeling in regards to her father's death. It seems rather than let herself feel anything, she's kind of burying it in this mission and just in her work. Yeah, the little moment early on when Max comes to offer her condolences is hard to read. I think Max is going there for partly the same reason as everyone else, as Eleanor kind of states, to scope her out a bit and lay down their loyalty so not to have her as an enemy, as they know it's about to get a bit dicey. But I think Max is also trying to look out for her at this point as well, as her own interests. You know, it's kind of a little bit of both. Yeah, Eleanor, she's not giving much away to Max though, except issuing her the subtle challenge of asking her if she's chosen whose side she's really on. I wish we'd seen how she got around explaining Max wasn't to be harmed, as it was obviously her biggest conflict with what she does this episode, last episode, you know, ordering the death of Jack and his crew. I think she is just very anti-pirate right now. And even though leaving Max alive still essentially leaves a big risk, it seems getting rid of Jack and his crew is kind of her main concern. But yeah, a little bit kind of, I wonder what happened there with the Max thing. So we then have Mr. Guthrie's funeral at night, which is odd. Never heard of a night funeral. I don't know if this was a thing. I don't know if she's rushing to get personal done so she can get sorted to business straight away. But again, you know, barely any tears for Eleanor. She's very stoic and, you know, it sort of looks like she's struggling to keep her emotions in check, but she doesn't break down. And we meet Mr. Underhill and they head to Miranda's house. And yeah, and the plan with Ash is laid out. He's sort of reluctant as first as he does sees Eleanor as a pirate, as one of them. Yeah, a mantle I don't think she would have really cared too much about before now. She kind of was one a little bit, wasn't she? Not fully. I mean, Anne said it quite well actually, way back in season 1, episode 6, sort of mucking in when she doesn't and choosing which side sort of thing. Yeah, but she's determined to shake, you know, this label off after what's happened. She says she is no pirate, she is her father's daughter, and she will be the end of piracy in this place, and it begins tonight. And so yeah, Underhill and Eleanor, they eventually strike a deal, and he ponders a little bit on the different approach she made to him from what her father did. Yeah, you know, Richard Guthrie, he was contrite, he made a bit of a song and dance about it, apologising, but you know, no such thing with Eleanor. And yeah, and Eleanor says that the time for storytelling is past. Now is the time for cold, hard truths. And she's about to get one. So yeah, as she exits Miranda's house, a mob is waiting, Hornigold's men. Yeah, and it's Eleanor who Hornigold and Dufresne are going to offer in turn for their pardons. So they hand her over to Captain Hume, who doesn't look like he was expecting her in exchange. I think they just agreed to meet, and this is what you get, sort of thing. And yeah, Hornigold gets his revenge on the Queen of Thieves, as he calls her. Absolutely petty, but ultimately going to end up giving Jack and everyone a good head start. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. I still hate Dufresne and Hornigold's smug faces here, though. Like, I can't remember if Eleanor has any scenes next episode. I feel like she doesn't. I feel like this is her last scene of her season. Yeah, as usual with this rewatch, you know, Eleanor is a character I'm really trying to see both sides of and stick up for a little more and really try and give her a chance, because I think she gets a lot of hate when she doesn't always deserve it, when she doesn't always have a choice. It is obviously business what she's doing here in terms of ordering the death of Jack's crew and Jack, and she has spared Max, so, you know, I do that in her favour. I get it, but it doesn't mean I like it. But at the same time, I still can't feel a little bit sorry for her at the end there, after everything. After all that to-in and throw-in with Flint and Vane, after having to all that stuff with Hornigold and the captains in the last season, to just see it all brought down to just her being kind of kidnapped in the middle of the night and stolen away and given over to the British, you know, it's... I feel bad for her. Obviously, yeah, she's going to come back and she's going to turn it around a little bit, but yeah, well, obviously, yeah, we'll get into some good Eleanor again next season, but yeah, very interesting mixed season with Eleanor for me. Okay, so let's move on to Jack and Anne, and with a little bit of Max. She's a bit sparingly used this episode. So yeah, after her meeting with Eleanor, Max is concerned. She knows Eleanor well, but she tells Jack she sort of hasn't seen this side of her before and she can't read her. And when she sees Eleanor kind of peeping at them, they're in the town, from the window, she worriedly tells Jack, you know, that he should make haste, set sail immediately and get going ASAP. She knows trouble is afoot, and we see where her loyalty lies, as Eleanor kind of asked her, for now anyway, with Max. So yeah, Jack and Featherstone are at the docks by the ship, prepping, almost ready to go by the looks of it. And we see, sort of elsewhere, a couple of their crew killed silently, mercilessly in the night. So we have got this tease of this upcoming threat, and the music's kind of building a little bit, and Jack hears something, and we're not expecting it to be Anne that comes into the shot. Great shot and reveal that it's her. I really love this one, the way we sort of see her through the kind of rope webbing, I can't remember what you call it. Yeah, great shot, great reveal that it's her. Jack's relief, my relief. I missed your last episode, girl. Yeah, and the way Jack looks at her in this scene, oh my god, he can barely get his words out without choking up when he's talking to her. He's just love struck, just so pleased to see her, you know, really showing just what she means to him here. Anne apologises. She knows she acted unreasonably at the time. Basically says, you know, she was in her feelings about the whole situation, but knows it was an impossible choice put upon him. Jack doesn't care about all that though. He isn't making her stew on an apology. He's just so happy to see her. He didn't think she would come back after all what happened, because obviously he's learnt about all that went down. And Anne says she considered leaving for good and not turning back. And it looks like she wants to say more and really get into it, but is distracted. The heavies have come for Jack and Featherstone, but they done fucked up, because they did not account for Anne to be there. And yet, the self-growth and maturity we see in Anne already since her ordeal, even in these two short scenes we sort of see her in, she's expressing her feelings to Jack clearly and calmly. She apologises, takes accountability. Yeah, tough again what we saw her go through, but just this level up emotionally is so evident already. Yeah, she's learnt a lot about herself without Jack around, yet for all this big change, what's the first thing she has to do when she returns? It's save Jack's life in a fight. And save the fucking day she does. Her last couple of kills, you know, they weren't at all noble. Drunken, in cold blood. But now she's sober, I assume. She's saving the day, and yeah, she absolutely wrecks their shit, and it's glorious. So yeah, after a pretty quick battle for Anne, they head to the brothel, and Max informs them that 2 other pirates from the crew are dead, and they should get moving. Asks if they're still able to sail without these men. There's a little bit of a pause and a quiet moment, and it's Anne that speaks up. Anne taking charge. You know, not Jack, who's cut and still a bit stunned by everything that's just gone down, I think. Anne says, fuck it. Fuck her. We leave now. I love season 1 and 2 Anne, I really do. But season 3 and 4 Anne just hits so different. And yeah, we're getting a great little teaser for it in this episode here. All she's got to do now is have that big chat with Jack next episode. You know, and that's now a complete, strong woman who knows who she is, what she's about, and, you know, what her priorities are. And yeah, Anne Bonny has got herself an MVP nomination. So yeah, Featherstone has no complaints against Anne joining this time now, funny enough. And yeah, a nice moment with Max and Anne, a cute little hand-holding moment before they part. They have a bond at this point. Might not have been for as long, and you know, it's not as strong as she and Jack, but it's important to Anne and to Max now, I think. It's not just physical for them anymore. Not a quiet life means to an end for Max. Jack can see here, you know, that in his absence, something has developed between them. This bond has developed. But yeah, bigger fish to fry for him right now. And as I say, we'll get more into Jack and Anne's sort of final little points of their season next episode. So yeah, let's start with the warship and the boarding and all that stuff. So yeah, Silver and Vane mostly, but a little bit of Billy to deepen as well. So yeah, it's really light-hearted on the warship to start. Billy is trying to get the sails fixed after Nicholas fell last episode. No one's offering to help, so he just goes to see to it himself. You know, big initiative from Billy here. Night falls, and we see Billy's still up on top. Silver, who's been airing his concerns to Vincent, his name is definitely Vincent, on Billy finding something up there. He goes to check on Randall. So yeah, R.I.P. Randall, R.I.P. Randall. We see Randall is, yeah, he's not in a good place. Great little side character, not been quite so prominent this season. He had a couple of little moments earlier on, but he made his mark with most fans, I think, in that first season, with me especially. I had fun sort of going into him a little bit. So yeah, with Randall gone, that's a little bit of comic relief gone. Bit of a statement, you know, fun and games are pretty much over. Eleanor's kind of already sort of said that. Yeah, Silver's reaction is interesting. I think he's a little bit affected by it. But of course, the bigger sort of issue for him right now on seeing a murdered crewmate is to get out of sight and kind of go from there. And we get the brief tease where he's sort of grabbed and we see it's Vincent and we're like, oh, is he betrayed him? Was he on another side? But he's just arrived at the scene sooner and he knows there's trouble ahead. So yeah, Vane and his crew, they make their move throughout the ship. Silver and Vincent can only watch on from hiding as Vane's crew sneak above deck. At the same time, Billy can see what's going down. He can see the boarding from up high. So yeah, it's a big fight, big decent fight. Walrus crew lose a few bodies while others are captured, tied up. And as Vane enters, he kills another decent little character who takes him on. And that is Joshua, aka Teeth. I wish we had got a little bit deeper with him. I think he would have been a great character to have around next season, you know, with the Maroons. Could have really had some interesting kind of moral conflicts for him. But yeah, such a busy show now, it might have been a case of too many cooks, I think, probably. And yeah, we get a great little showdown, little sword fight with Billy and Vane. One-on-one conversational, confrontational might not be Billy's strong point right now, but he is first to step up when his brothers are in danger. But Vane's late-night boarders stun them and they are outmatched. Vane has the ship and the remaining Walrus crew, including Billy, are bound. Silver and Vincent, though, they're still in hiding. Silver, always a man with a plan, takes a glance at Randall, who almost helping him out, you know, one final time from the afterlife. He's looking towards a kitchen knife, which Silver takes. He's going to fight, not flee. Despite making it clear he has no option really, it's still a much braver Silver that we saw way back in, you know, the first episode of this season when he wanted to kind of just flee and leave Flint to it. So he wants to sever the line to delay Vane sailing off, and he says to Vincent, I see no other way we survive this ordeal. So yeah, don't be fooled. Silver is still out looking for number one, but still, you know, I think he's a bit more of a team player than he's still willing to admit right now. But yeah, he is getting really close to that change. He wants to help the crew, even though he won't sort of say it. And again, calling back well to the season opener, Vincent suggests that they swim for it. Both of them make a move. Save themselves, sod the others. And yeah, the parallels are just great here. Only this time, Silver is sort of in the Flint role. He has something to fight for and he doesn't want to flee now. And yeah, so it's Silver that cuts the ropes himself. So yeah, in between the sort of latter part of that Silver stuff, we have a great little Billy and Vane scene. I love Vane calls Billy Mr. Gates boy. Oh, miss you Gates. So yeah, Vane tells Billy that the Rangers crew involvement with the Singleton business, way back in episode 1 if you'll remember, was to try and cause defectors for Flint's crew, but mainly to get him on side, he says. You know, I wonder, is this a lie or not? Is he... It wasn't mentioned last season, you know. There was no sort of mention that Vane and the Ranger crew wanted Billy on side. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think he's talking him up a bit because he knows what an assist Billy would be on side to his crew. Rather than just kill him, it would be a waste of a good pirate, I think is what he's saying here. And yeah, maybe he is also a little bit aware of the beef between Billy and Flint sort of ongoing. So yeah, maybe somewhere in the middle there, maybe. So yeah, Vane bigs Billy up as a proper pirate. And when Billy tells him to fuck off pretty much, Vane finishes by saying, and loyal to a fault. Billy tells him he has no idea what's going on here, you know, what you're doing. I think after Dufresne and Hornigold's turn, I think Billy's generally shocked a pirate like Vane isn't for this big plan. And Billy says, you hate Flint, I hate Flint. But right now, he's talking about how we survive, what comes next. And Billy tells him about the Navy and that they're close by and they're coming. And he's saying they should be uniting as Flint's plan is the only plan that they have. And it's at this point that Silver cuts the forestay and, you know, it all falls down, goes to shit on there. And Vane realises that someone is sabotaging their boarding, and he goes to try and sort it out. Not a lot of Billy, but I like in contrast to Silver, who uses his opportunity to stay hidden. I mean, he doesn't have much option. But Billy up high on the sail, you know, he could have bided a bit of time, just played it out a little bit. But he goes straight down to help. And yeah, it's not quite enough to put him in the MVP discussion, but he definitely helped put a thought into Vane's head. And yeah, really good to see him fully back immersed in this crew. So yeah, it was a good plan by Silver and Vincent to get the upper hand on Vane, but Vincent's not confident when he's holding on to Vane. He's not very good at it. And Vane escapes, you know, he's just been biding his time, just as they hear the news that Flint has been captured. He's under arrest and he will face a quick trial, and that Carolina will see to death of piracy in the New World. We see everyone, you know, especially Vane, taking this in. So instead of fighting Silver and Vincent, he makes a proposal.
Nassau is strongest when she's feared. And if what promises to happen here tomorrow actually happens, she may never be feared again.
He says if Flint, one of the most, you know, renowned pirates, is killed tomorrow as a trophy, Nassau may never be feared again. Silver smiles as Vane says he suggests they get him the hell out of there. More great Silver build-up. Not anything I really want to delve into any deeper with him. And he's not quite in the MVP discussion. He's getting there. He's getting so close to it. I like that he sticked about and he wasn't convinced by Vincent's suggestion to make a swim for it. And yeah, cutting the ropes was a good idea. But the Charlestown announcement would have delayed them anyway. Vane, however, does have to be in the discussion and he gets himself an MVP nomination. He's a man with a plan and he's executing it well, mercilessly, in the middle of the night. Yeah, he could have just taken the ship and gone, killed everyone, but he listens to what Billy says, and when he hears the news about Flint, he can understand that Billy was correct. Yeah, he's willing to disregard a massive rivalry, risk his prize, his life, because he knows that some things are just bigger. So yeah, a good episode for Vane. Okay, so I've saved them until last. Let's get into Flint and Miranda. I really enjoyed Miranda. You know, this watch through. Really enjoyed her. Okay. So Flint and Miranda are making their plea. It's not warm, but it's friendly between Peter Ash and with Miranda and Flint. Though that Colonel Rhett, he is a stone cold face threat in the room. We get a bit of Flint background and we learn it only took him 4 months to get his first prize. And secure gates early on side as well. And it's not, you know, too long before Ash challenges him on Alfred's murder. And Miranda speaks up and says she encouraged James as she did last episode. She's sticking with that. Yeah, she sticks up for him, you know, and she's making herself accountable here. When she stands just to make her point, the Colonel Rhett cocks his pistol and warns her. If they stand to him, if they move towards him too much, he will take that as a threat. I wondered why Ash sort of wouldn't dismiss him here. You know, it's very over the top. They're not even armed. But, I don't know, does he secretly kind of want them to? I don't know. Flint gently sits Miranda back down, because she's a bit sort of shocked by this man pointing a pistol at her. You know, this is a This is a civilised woman at the end of the day, and she's having a pistol pointed at her for just, having an opinion. But I think maybe Flint, I don't know necessarily if he's underestimated the danger of this man and the threat sort of set up so early. But yeah, Flint admits he was angry about all what went down with Thomas, and he asked Peter Ash, not to judge him by that one deed. So yeah, Flint lets Ash know how things stand. He's making good arguments, what he's good at. He's a great speaker, and he's being humble, and he's expressing his regrets. Yeah, he really bears his soul over these few scenes. While talking, we can see Miranda sort of staring at this clock. She keeps looking to it, we keep focusing on it, we hear it chime, and she seems distracted, and we can hear the conversation going on a bit, and it's sort of fading out, and we're just sort of seeing Miranda. So yeah, at some point, Flint sort of sums it up for Ash. I don't think there's a part for Captain Flint in Nassau's future, not with the blood on his hands. He will have to go away and leave James McGraw and Lady Hamilton to retire to the interior in peace. Yeah, just absolutely great reflections from Flint in this episode. I mean, I'm saying Flint still very much McGraw here. This is McGraw that's back. We're going to talk a lot in a little bit about how he wants to really let Flint go now. So yeah, they have a chance, him and Miranda, to speak alone. And Flint knows that something's wrong with Miranda, but she sort of brushes it off in this moment and puts it down to nerves. And yeah, and a really great scene about Flint discussing how he came up with his name. Just fantastic acting by both Toby Stephens and Louise Barnes in, all this episode with them. Miranda asks if he's truly ready to let him go. And yeah, we just get a great monologue. We learn how he got his name, the history behind it. So yeah, he was raised by his grandfather, who back in the day while he was fishing, he met a mysterious man called Flint, who climbed from the water onto the ship. And, when he went below deck to get some rum or whatever, he disappeared, this man, as mysteriously as he arrived. Flint says, in summary of this guy, it was as if the sea had conjured that man out of nothing and taken him back for some unknown purpose. Parallels! Flint says that he feared the man he was about to create, that someone born of such dark things would consume him if he were not careful. And he says, I was determined only to wear him for a while, and then dispose of him when his purpose was complete, which is what he's willing to do now. And yeah, it's so sad to hear him speak like this, and clearly, like I say, just be ready to get this done and live a quiet life on Nassau with Miranda, farming, breeding chickens, I don't know. And, he concludes,
am I ready to let him go? Truth is, every day I've worn that name, I've hated him a little more. I've been ready to return him to the sea for a long time.
Just amazing monologue. Interesting from Miranda here, because she knows now what's going on with the clock. She's put it all together, and we can see she's sort of battling it out with herself, especially now after just hearing that. It's either justice for the three of their injustice, or keep quiet so James can get his quiet retirement, maybe. And we sort of see her stumble a bit, look like she's going to say something. Oh, if they'd only got, an extra 30 seconds, but they are interrupted. So Ash offers his help, wants something in return, but doesn't think that Flint will like it. And we focus on Miranda again. So again, I think she knows what might be coming. Peter wants to sail to London with Flint and for him to tell his story about his affair with Thomas, how it ended and what it led to. Apologise, unmask, a monster slain, he says, leaving a flawed man that England can relate to, offering his forgiveness. And this is just a great time to call back to season 1's This Ends When I Grant Them My Forgiveness, not the other way around. Remember that? It's tough for Flint, we know what this means to him, but he's looking away, thinking it. You can see him battling it, and he smiles. It's not a fuck you smile. It's a, yeah, I can do this. I can do this. He knows how close he is now. At this point, it just seems a small price to pay, just for all things considered. Some more parallels and role reversals, how it was Miranda, that was arguing it back in season 1, and him saying never ever, and her saying, look, it's just words, it's just, and how it's flipped, and now she's about to be like, actually, no, this is the bigger picture sort of thing. So obviously, this is all about to go to shit, though. He goes to shake Peter Ash's hand, and Miranda can just hold it all in no longer. She knows what Ash is about, and she can't bear to leave it unsaid. And she knows this end doesn't justify what they have been through, and it's just another great speech, another great monologue. She knows that the clock that she's been staring at all this time was Thomas's, was theirs, it was in their house. It's revealed through her outburst that Peter Ash was in Alfred Hamilton's pocket the whole time. It was Ash who acted as witness to give credibility to Alfred's accusation against James and Thomas, and Flint is sort of just silent, taking it in. He just doesn't know what to say. The conflict that just must be going on within him. McGraw had just been about ready to fully take the reins, but a spanner's just been thrown in. A revelation I don't think Flint has truly taken in yet. You can just sort of see he's just letting Miranda run, and that's where I sort of said earlier, or if a bit more Flint was in there, I think he would have been like, we got to watch this guy, but he's forgotten about him because they're both just so charged by this. Ash asks for forgiveness, says we could all do with some forgiveness here, he's absolute hypocrite, obviously, what he was just asking them to do, and now he's just like, can we just forget it? But Miranda wants her say, and she will hear none of it. She says, what forgiveness are you entitled to when you stand in the shadows pushing James out in front of the world to be laid bare for the sake of the truth? And Ash, he tells him Alfred threatened his family stand-in and Abigail's future. And I can believe that. But at the same time, it's just, again, it's civilization and pirates, isn't it? What we've sort of just seen Vane do in contrast to Vane, and how the choice he made, like I say, building bridges for the sake of saving Flint, for the sake of the bigger picture. And he just didn't see the bigger picture. He just saw number one and turned tail and, betrayed everyone. And Peter Ash, he goes too far, and he says he visited Thomas at the hospital to confess his sins and that Thomas forgave him. And you can sort of see the turn in Flint on this, the little twitch or two we sort of see in, on hearing Thomas's name, on hearing Peter Ash use it like this. The realisation now, I think, has hit him. This allyship, this is over now. He knows it. He doesn't know how bad it's about to be over, but he knows it's over. Ash says that is what civilization is. He apologises to a still silent Flint, but Miranda, she has that Flint spirit now, and she just unleashes still at him. Says she is enraged. She wants justice for Thomas and for what they've been through in exile. Just as she's getting to the crescendo of her point, she wants to see the city he's built with his blood money to burn.
I want to see that noose around your neck, and I want to pull the fucking lever with my own two hands.
Colonel Rhett kills her in cold blood. Neither of them armed. Shameful, bad form move. Expect nothing less, though, from, all that we've seen. Again, the good form we've just seen enemy kind of pirate leaders come to with Vane and Silver sort of uniting, in contrast to the bad form of an army man against an unarmed woman. R.I.P. Miranda. At least it's quick, but what a tragic way to lose such an amazing, strong character that, just kept getting stronger and stronger these last 5 episodes. So, Flint charges, but no match for the guards, and laying on the ground can only stare at his partner. And Rhett's itchy trigger finger just signed a whole town's death warrant. Miranda is my final nomination for an MVP award. And so, the end scene is obviously Eleanor's being taken away. And this episode ends a bit differently. We end with a song rather than the usual theme tune. And it ends with Nick Cave's Avalanche. Really interesting way to end the episode. I don't know the song. I had a listen. I don't know this. I don't mind Nick Cave. But I don't know this one well. But obviously the title itself just just the word avalanche. Oh, maybe that's what I should have called the episode. Too late now. But yeah, the title Avalanche, obviously, yeah, it's shit's coming, shit's happening. But yeah, I think it makes for a really interesting, nice kind of end. And it's nice that Miranda gets a little song. She gets a little song to mourn her death. Yeah, I suppose without further ado, let's get into the little bits. The MVP.
Last item.
Yeah, it's been laid out who our nominations are. So we have got Miranda, Anne, and Vane. In all truth, I still don't know. I've got arguments for all three of them, like really strong ones. I think Vane is going to be my first elimination. Yeah, I think Vane's got to be first to go. I think it's a great episode for him, and, you know, he does well, but I think he's got next episode in the bag. And I don't think he necessarily will deserve to be too ahead at this point. And before, because I normally have a really good idea before the episode starts, you know, just from knowing these episodes quite well. Obviously, Anne's always MVP to me. But Anne, you know, I didn't really think before the episode. She has a great episode. She's come back bloody strong. And obviously, Miranda. Am I being sentimental with Miranda in really? But then she stands up for what's right and all that sort of stuff. I think I might have to toss a coin for Anne and Miranda. Like, does Miranda, when all said and done, Miranda's on the board, does she deserve another one? Heads it's Anne, tails Miranda will lose out, unfortunately. It's tails, Anne wins. I don't know. That's not fair, Ben. Anne's seen oh, fuck. I'm gonna have to do it. I want to give it to Anne, but heads Anne, tails Miranda. Where's it gone? Don't look. Where's it gone? Where's the coin gone?
What the fuck is going on in here on this day?
It is. I was gonna say it is what it is. You know, he says that. I promise. It landed on heads. All right, I promise. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to give that to Anne. Maybe, yeah, the argument, Miranda might deserve it a bit more, but I honestly could have given it to either of them. Anne is going to get MVP. What a freaking kerfuffle that was today. That was really hard. I generally couldn't pick between them. I think after the season she's had, she deserves to be 2 up now. So yes, thank you everyone for watching. I've said this is going to be probably help me make it a bit shorter, but I think it's actually going to end up being one of the longest bloody episodes because of all the waffling I did at the beginning. But it's trial and process. So yeah, we'll see how we get on. Anyway, right, Ben, shut up. Let's go. All right, I'll catch you very soon for the season finale. All right, peace out. Bye.